Oh, hello. I'm your neurofabulous friend, late diagnosed AuDHD, and today I'm talking about what happens when your special interest that we discussed in the last video buys plane tickets. Now, I'm feeling a little rusty. I haven't recorded in probably about a month and a half because apparently I didn't just plan a Japan trip, I turned it into a full-blown neurodivergent field study, complete with color-coded itineraries, cafe spreadsheets, a heart rate monitor proving that matcha is potentially medicinal. And today we're diving into how my special interest and planning actually translated into the trip itself. Like, what did that actually end up looking like? And what traveling as an autistic ADHD person was really like, and whether Japan turned out to be as autism friendly as all my research had promised. So, by the end of this video, you'll have a couple of practical tips for your own planning, regulating and enjoying travel as a neurodivergent person without burning out halfway through. And trust me, I tested this in the wild with a bit of jet lag, train crowds, and a suitcase full of snacks coming home. Ha 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 ha. So, before we start, head down into the website. Tons of neuro-friendly resources. It's got my full Japan itinerary as well. I thought I'd summarize it and share it with others. Spots that we really enjoyed, things we love to see, things we didn't love to see, and extra planning templates just in case you're building your own itinerary or adventure. Also, it would be great if you hit subscribe. I drop a new video every week on AuDHD life, research, and the beautiful chaos that is AuDHD. Very excited to have you here. So let's start with the planning stage. And I spoke a little bit about this in the last video. If you haven't seen that last video, kind of click on the link above and head over and have a wee little look-see. My autistic and ADHD brain worked together for this. Research shows that autistic people often describe their special interests as calming and regulating, and ADHDers experience dopamine surges when diving into stimulating topics. So, travel planning for me was the perfect team or the perfect storm of creating something that really helped me regulate. So, I spent months deep diving into maps, train lines, cafes, templates, onsen etiquette, tattoo friendly onsens, because we got some of those guys. Um, and made sure that there was all of this information available to me. And my heart rate data literally showed stress dropping every time I worked on it. And here's what's really fascinating. Studies from 2021 and 2022 show that special interest engagement activities have the same reward circuits as meditation or exercise. So, yes, my trip planning was technically self care. And when I finally boarded that flight, I realized that all of this hyper detailed research wasn't over preparation, it was around accessibility. Every sensory factor I had pre researched, noise levels, food options, transport flow, meant fewer surprises, fewer meltdowns, and way more fun when I got there. So let's take a look at how I actually did this research. So, before even booking the tickets, both my partner and I really wanted to go to Japan, and we wanted to know what was kind of out there, like what are some fun things people would do. He had been before for like 3 days, which is not a huge amount of time, but it was enough to know that we wanted to go to Japan. So we didn't really know where or what we should be doing. So I did what any self respecting autistic ADHD traveler would do. I turned to Instagram and I turned it into essentially my research assistant. I started saving every Japan travel reel that popped up: cafe, shrine, matcha desserts, quirky hotels, romantic spots, you name it. I grouped it all together in kind of groups so that it didn't get out of hand. I eventually had to make folders, one for couple stuff, one for me, which had a lot of skincare in it, and one literally called things I want to eat. By the end, I had hundreds of reels saved, right? ADHD, bing, 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 save all the reels. Am I ever going to look at them again? In this instance, I did, because my autism was like, you look at those reels. So by the end, we had hundreds of reels saved, and that's where it all started, because I didn't know where any of these places actually were on the map. I would then take the reel, pop the reel into Canva and ask, how far is this from my hotel? What are the opening hours? What day is it closed? And that way, if something looked amazing but was closed on a Tuesday, I could eliminate it straight away, because I'm in this location only on the Tuesday. And this is where my inner spreadsheet enthusiast truly came alive. I created a giant master sheet, every location from Instagram listed by city and area, name and place, opening hours, approximate cost, because I didn't want to overextend my budget. I had a very clear budget in mind, and notes on whether it was kind of like, kind of what we would expect at this place, and then an image of it. I know, please. I know it sounds excessive, but it's pure beauty, really. If you are autistic, you know this is pure beauty. So from there, I grouped everything by location. So for Tokyo, for example, I grouped things by Ginza, Shibuya, Shinagawa, Harajuku. So if we were in one area and felt like a coffee, I could instantly say, okay, well, here are 3 cafes nearby that are open, within budget, and look amazing. So each item linked to a little image or a video thumbnail, so I could show my partner what I'd found, and he'd look through them and say, oh, this one looks good, or maybe not that one today, and we'd just adjust from there. So it's kind of choose your own adventure. Okay, so to give you an idea around what was on the spreadsheet, I had a spreadsheet of every day we were in Tokyo or in Japan for, and then I'd break it down by day, which was like what we were doing in the day or if we were traveling. Now, if we were like in a specific area, I would group them by specific area, so it would be easy to identify things we could do in that area while we were there. Did we get to everything? No, but there were suggestions, right? And I knew that there were like 5 things we could do in X particular area. So let's take travel day on Friday the 3rd. I had our Shinkansen location that we had to go, things we could do, the hotel we were going to, where we could eat, bars we could go to, kind of fun things that we could do, kind of choose your own adventure. But then as well, for Tokyo, for example, because there's so many areas in Tokyo, I had Google mapped the areas by color and essentially grouped them by location. So Ginza or Ebisu, making sure that they were all kind of color coordinated groups. So if you see here, it's yellow, and we go back to the spreadsheet, it's yellow, and then it gives us images of things that we could do in that area, and we could say, oh, that looks like fun, or that doesn't look like fun, or skip it, or kind of move it to like another day, or could we kind of get there on a different day, etc. From an autistic perspective, this made changing plans completely fine, because it wasn't chaos, it was choice. And I built flexibility into the structure, because obviously my partner is not in the same thinking pattern as I am. So it's really important to make sure that I made it flexible enough for him to be part of that as well. But it did mean no surprises from my perspective, no panic, no last minute decisions, especially when my brain might have been overstimulated. So now, how that translated in reality was very different, and I'll get to that soon. But the key takeaway is that the big spreadsheet that I created, it wasn't about control, it's about comfort, and it made the entire trip feel more manageable even before we got on the plane. Now, if you love hearing about how to use your special interests for self-care and structure, make sure you hit subscribe and drop your current obsession in the comments. I would love to know what your current obsession is. Please do share. Okay, so how did this actually translate to once we arrived? It worked mostly well. Autistic researchers talk about the concept of predictability as regulation. When environments are structured and predictable, our brains use less energy to stay calm. So my itinerary gave me that predictability in a totally new country. And the ADHD part of me thrived on the novelty. I'd built in flexible choose your own adventure blocks, and I could chase dopamine without like derailing my entire day. And that, like, it turned out that my hyper planning created space for spontaneity, and that's not really something I had like intentionally done in the past. So when I showed my partner the spreadsheet the first time, he was like, this is a lot. He loves and appreciates that I have put in so much energy into this planning, but it looks like a lot. But when we got there, it made more sense and it was a lot more like usable, I should say. So let's talk about some of the sensory things that are very specific to me as an autistic traveler. Sound for me is one of my biggest triggers. Repetitive noises, high-pitched tones, random mechanical sounds. It can send me from calm into incandescent rage in seconds. And it's not irritation, it's literally hurts my ears. And then there's touch. I don't do well with unexpected touch or contact, especially in crowded places. If someone brushes against me in a busy crowd, my entire body goes into defense mode, and it's not a choice. It's just how my neurology responds. I used to feel guilty talking about it because it sounds really dramatic, like, oh, someone brushed against me and I want to hiss at them. But it's just sensory processing, and I process senses differently. Smells are another challenge for me. Strong perfume, cigarette smoke, even heavy floral scents can be overwhelming, and my eyes water, my nose burns, my brain's like, so Japan was an interesting experiment. Smell wise, there is a lot of fragrance, especially in skincare and beauty stores. Let me know in the comments if you want a whole video on my Japanese skincare, because it's definitely become a new special interest. But what balanced it out was this beautiful silence. The trains, completely quiet. Even when they were full, people barely talk. Everyone follows the rules, they queue politely, they move in order, no one blasts music or shouts into their phone. Honestly, it is a dream for sound sensitive brains. Escalators were another unexpected joy. People stand on one side so people can pass. Everybody just stands in a line. There is structure, predictability, calmness. There were some exceptions. Some tourist areas and peak hour trains were absolutely chaotic, full sensory overload. I have a clip of one station where the beeps and jingles and announcements nearly sent me feral, but overall, the noise levels were manageable, sometimes even soothing. The best part is you can order pretty much anything on an app. So you'll go into a restaurant or a cafe and you just order on an app. So you barely have to talk to people, which I quite liked. And combine that with universal politeness, clear social rules. Japan felt surprisingly autism friendly. So while my senses were definitely challenged, the balance of quiet and order, tech based independence, made one of the most comfortable countries I've probably ever visited. So, quick reminder, all the links, etc., are in the comments below. And while you're there, if you could hit the like button, it tells the algorithm that autistic travel content deserves to be seen. Autistic content in general, please hit that like button. Okay, let's take a moment to look at planning versus reality. So on my plan, I really wanted to go to this coffee shop in Harajuku that had like black coffee with beautiful latte art on it. Didn't know what to expect when we got there. The place was tiny. Like, I am a really tall person with like a lot of limbs. Like, I barely fitted into the seats, and so did my partner, who's the same height as me. It was quite entertaining, but the drinks were amazing, and we love coffee. But we ended up both getting a tea. I got a matcha, he got a hojicha. I hope I'm saying that right. And the planning versus reality, the reality was actually better than what the planning was. So here's a little video of us trying out the coffee.
Eight. Yes. It's kind of roasty. It's like
more green. That's delicious. That is delicious. That's a 10.
it's impressive.
Now let's talk honestly about what it's like to travel when you're neurodivergent. It's both incredible and exhausting. Travel disrupts every routine from every control mechanism. And for autistic brains, that means higher sensory load. For ADHD brains, that means the potential of executive function chaos. There is a silver lining. As I said, Japan overall is surprisingly autism friendly. You know, public spaces are quiet, trains run on time, there's predictability, food allergies and texture preferences can be accommodated if you plan ahead, social interactions are polite but low pressure, minimal small talk required. And I won't romanticize it. There are some parts that are tough. You know, the crowded subways, the neon lights overload, the airplane. I honestly need to work out how I will forever travel first class because economy was brutal. But if you build in recovery time and sensory rest days and quiet activities like tea ceremonies, there wasn't really ever any burnout. But to be clear, traveling over to Japan, I had a really bad case of RSV. So for the first week I was there, I was on steroids. I was trying not to cough myself into oblivion. And when I share some videos soon, you'll see that pretty much all of them were like, it wasn't great, but it was still fun. So I spent some time trying to recover as well. Research also backs this approach. Scheduled downtime and recovery days significantly reduces travel fatigue, especially for autistic adults. So if you're planning a trip, make sure you're building in some buffer time. Carry sensory tools if you need. Headphones for me was particularly important. I actually think I messaged Bose and was like, this is literally a gift that you have created. If you need to know what these are, I'm happy to share because they are literally the best headphones I've ever owned in my entire life. They block out everything. While I couldn't plan all my meals ahead, knowing kind of what foods were available and what we could eat was really important. And also allowing your special interest to flourish, like whether it be culture, history, coffee, and in my instance, like Japanese skincare. Look how glowing my skin is. It's so moisturized. I'm like, yes, queen. Because when you travel, you know, through your passions, it becomes grounding and not overwhelming. So if this resonates with you, hit subscribe and check out my free kind of resources. I've got tons of stuff that I have been creating. And I'm also really curious to know in the comments, like, what is your dream special interest trip? Is it also Japan? Because I can give you some hints of where to go. Yes. Was Japan worth the hyperfixation? Absolutely. What started as a spreadsheet turned into some of the most peaceful moments I've ever experienced. The onsen we ended up at was like mind blowing. Walking through like Minnow Falls, like it was just so beautiful. Sipping delicious matcha, yum 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 yum. Especially at a cafe I had researched 6 months earlier, realizing that my over researching wasn't anxiety, it was just accommodation. And for autistic and ADHD travelers, preparation isn't overkill, it's freedom. So it's what lets us show up fully present in the vacation. Lots of people were like, you were with your partner nonstop for like 3 weeks. I'm like, yeah, and I had a great time. I think we bickered at each other maybe like twice, and most of that was getting lost in train stations in Tokyo, which I hear is a thing, but we didn't realize it was a thing until we were lost. It was like a Mobius strip, like you exit in an exit, but then you're in a mall and then the exit in the mall tells you to go another direction. That was not great, and that triggered me, and then I would get snappy, and that it was mainly me being snappy. He's a delight. Me being snappy. I can reflect on myself. I can be reflective, and it was I was snappy. Anyway, if you've ever been told that you plan too much, care too much, or need to be more spontaneous, remember that doesn't work necessarily for neurodivergent brains. It's built for depth, and sometimes that depth creates a trip of a lifetime. So, that's how my Japan trip turned out. Perfect collision of planning and passion and neurodivergent joy. So, don't forget to watch part 1 if you missed it, around what special interests are and how mine ended up being this Japan trip. Please feel free to download all the things I've included. I've included the itinerary. Like, literally, it's not rocket science. It's just the Google Maps. And you can go find the stuff that we went to and really enjoyed. Also, hit subscribe. Don't miss next week's video. Loving that. Let me know in the comments as well if you want a skincare video, because new special interest unlocked. And thanks. Thanks for watching. Keep in touch. Remember, your special interests aren't quirks. They are a compass.